Oh boy, we gotta talk about these Eagles fly because right now they are 8-0. They just beat the Texans last night, 29-17. There's a little typo here. I'm glad I remembered it by heart. To clinch the best start to the season in franchise history. Can the Eagles run the table? And Cuzzo, you're the Eagles fan. The mic is yours. Can they run the table?
Oh, no, they can't. No, and that's no disrespect to them. You know how hard it is to run the table in the NFL? The NFL is so close. The good teams from the bad teams, from the mediocre teams, it's close, right? We're talking about a play here or a play there. I mean, even last night, they played the Texans 14-14 at halftime, okay? Just last year, what was that? The Arizona Cardinals? They started 7-0. How did they finish? You see what I'm saying? Like, it can go south fast. You know that. Injury here, a play there, anything.
Steelers,
so
remember?
Table, huh?
Remember the Steelers? They were like 10-0?
Yeah, no. Yeah, 10-0, right, a couple of years back, right. No. Running the table, everybody need to take that off the table. You know what I mean? Like, take that off the table. The great Tom Brady, who ran the table in the regular season, go watch how tough it was for them in those playoffs. The pressure come out. It's just too tough. So, no, I don't think the Eagles can run the table. I don't think they can go to the Super Bowl. The NFC is weak. You know what I mean? I don't see no team in the NFC that's scary to the Eagles. Yes, I'm an Eagle fan. I don't see no team that's scary to the Eagles. I think we can beat everybody. Not that we can't, or not that we will go to the Super Bowl, but I believe we can. You know what I mean? I still believe that the Buffalo Bills is that team. So I'm not going to say we're going to guarantee win the Super Bowl, but do we have an opportunity? Yeah. If we play Buffalo in a mutual field, can we win a football game? Absolutely. Running the table? No. We are 8-0, and we could mess around. I think we got Green Bay on our schedule. We got the Titans on our schedule. We still got to go to Dallas. We got to play the Giants twice. You don't know. Injury, you just don't know. It's too many variables on why they're not going 17-0 in the regular season.
Zay, talk to me.
You know what's funny? Because I actually think the only games that the Eagles will have an issue with is the division games. Giants, Commanders, but the Eagles are not inferior to those teams. Just division games, like Lil stated a long time ago, division games are 50-50. It could go either way. But those are the only games I can really see them losing. And besides those games, I think the Eagles should go 17-0, just based upon what they've been doing. Their defense is solid. They're running the ball well. Jalen Hurts is not turning the ball over as much. I know their passing game is probably the weakest component of the Eagles, just because he's not getting a lot of touchdowns. He's moving the ball up the field, but they mainly run to get those touchdowns. It's not really majority of the passing game, but their defense is causing turnovers. Their defense is able to get the offense the ball. They're putting points on the board almost every possession, which you want in your football team, rather 3 or 7. Like, either way, pick your poison. But they're putting points on the board. They don't come out of a quarter where they're not scoring something. So that's important for a Nick Sirianni team, which I was completely surprised when they hired him, because I didn't think the guy was fit for the job. But hey, I'm glad I'm wrong, because the Eagles are looking really stout. I think they could be 17-0, but it's based upon what's going to happen with Jalen Hurts for the duration of the season. Is he going to turn it up a different level with the passing game, or is it going to be the same running game? That's going to be the difference. And I want to see how teams adapt to the Eagles being primarily a running team. Now, going 17-0 would be an accomplishment, but that doesn't mean that makes them, playoff and Super Bowl contenders off the rip. I still think they have to face teams that could play both sides of the ball and do both sides of the thing a little bit better than the Eagles. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of happens as the season goes on. But I think the Eagles have a potential to go 17-0. I think they should. Like I said, when we look at the remaining schedule is not as difficult as people think. I think that first half was where the Eagles schedule was like, oh, we don't know how many games they're going to win. We don't know if they could beat this team. We don't know if they'll beat the Vikings. We don't know this. They destroyed a lot of teams. And I think moving forward, when you look at the remaining schedule, it's like, all right, I can see them winning every game. Like, I can see the Eagles winning the remaining of the schedule just based upon who they're playing. Now, will they is a different story. You got execution and predictions are two different things. I think the Eagles have executed majority of this season, so I don't see a point in the season where they just falter or they just forget how to play football, because their bread and butter is the running game and defense. And then Jalen Hurts being who he is, who is capable of throwing the deep ball, who is capable of running and making quick decisions, I don't see him just having a game where he just forgets how to play football. So I think for me, 17-0 is very plausible. I'll say, if I had to give a percentage, like, I want to say 80% chance of them getting 17-0.
Wow.
I think if you're Cuzzo, you don't want to hear that. Like for me, I don't want to hear my team go undefeated. I don't like that because I know the danger of that. I know the danger of chasing, a record and how that could come back to bite you in the offs.
Absolutely.
Right. For example, I was, you kind of hinted at it. I was the beneficiary of my Patriots team going undefeated in the regular season, getting everybody's best shot in the playoffs. Forget the Giants beating us in the Super Bowl. To get there, through the playoffs was not easy. Like the games were much closer. Right? We were stumbled a little bit. We did get rocked. We won them, but we ultimately lost in the Super Bowl. Go to Golden State in the NBA, chasing that 72 win record, only to have guys getting hurt trying to chase a record when they could have been getting rest. We all know what happened in the finals. 3-1 lead, decimated. So I don't want to hear, if I'm you, Cuzzo, a take where they can go undefeated. You shouldn't be chasing that. Win every single game, take it game by game, and play your best. But don't try to chase anything from a record standpoint. If you're hurt, don't try to chase the MVP. If you're the Eagles, don't try to chase the undefeated streak. Just game by game. With that being said, to answer the question, can the Eagles go 17-0? I'm going to say no, only because I'm taking the game of football and knowing the history and how hard that is to do and how unlikely that is. I'm just going to take the percentages on that one. From a schedule perspective, even from a talent perspective, they can. But I'm going to take the mathematics here, and I'm going to take the easy way out, I would say, and say no. And the reason why, I don't know how good the Eagles team really is. And the reason why I say so is you look at the games they won. Let's go to it. They beat the 1-6 Lions. Kirk Cousins in prime time. Okay, that's a W off grip. Commanders, who's been irrelevant for the last 40 years. The Jaguars, who's 2-6. The Cardinals without D-Hop. Cooper Rush in prime time. Okay, a guy that's not ready for prime time. He did a good job babysitting, but prime time, when you need him to make a play, that's the guy that you played. And one of the worst teams in the league in the Texans, who gave them work last night. It wasn't an easy victory, right? So you combine that. How do we know if this team is really, really good? And we never saw them come from adversity yet. I always say, you realize how good you really are when you're able to overcome adversity. The Eagles have not faced adversity yet. Now, are they? Look at the remaining schedule. It's an easy schedule. There's no middle class NFC team. You have your upper echelon teams like the Eagles, who's 8-0, the Vikings, who's 6-1, the Giants 6-2, the Cowboys 6-2. The only team that you could classify as middle class is Seattle, based off record. I'm just going based off record, 5-3. Even though I believe the 49ers are a better team than their record shows, I'm just going off record. They're the only middle class team record-wise, Seattle. Everybody else is 500 or below. There's no middle class. So if there is a chance at history, it lies within Philly. But with that being said, I'm going to take the mathematics because the Eagles do have a weakness that was exploited yet last night. I never thought they did because I don't watch the Eagles as much as my cousin do. Maybe he realized the weak link before I did. But last night, I see the Texans ran 32 times for 168 yards with Damian Pierce, 5.1 yards per carry. 31 minutes of game clock that they use. You know a team that can run the football? The Dallas Cowboys, with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott control the game, keep Hurts on the bench. So, if I were to predict where an L would show itself in the column, it would probably be against the Cowboys. So that's why I'm going to answer the question. No, I don't think they run the table.
Well, let me. The run defense is not the best run defense right now, although he is missing the defensive tackle from Georgia. I forget his name right off the rip, rookie. But that's not the reason why run defense is suspect. It's been suspect a little bit. It ain't the best, but overall defense, we putting pressure on the quarterback. Our secondary is solid. The Cowboys did run the ball on us in game one. That's how they came back in that game. They didn't pass their way back. They ran their way back if you go watch that game. So what you speak in right now is truth. If you're going to look at a weakness, the run defense is pretty weak because we was up 20-zip on the Cowboys. They came all the way back. And they ran all the way back. They
didn't throw. Like normally you throw to come back from a lead like that. They ran back.
You speaking some truth.
Say any last arguments?
I will say this, right? And I think it's imperative that we make this known, right? The Eagles are 9 times out of 10 in the lead during these games. So not having the best run defense isn't an issue when teams are forced to pass the ball because they're down points, right? Eagles team could go up 14-0 in the first quarter if you allow them to get the running game off. If you allow them to get the running game off, it opens up the entire field. If you try to minimize the running game, they're still giving it to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and also Goddard, who's out there on the football field, and also sometimes Miles Sanders, Gainwell. They have a lot of weapons, right? And then you also got to worry about the feet of Jalen Hurts because he's running up and down the field like no tomorrow. So it's about, the run defense doesn't have to be the greatest, because when they're looking at the teams that they're going to be playing against in the playoffs, most of these teams are run heavy, but their passing game is kind of suspect, which allows the Philadelphia Eagles to get these turnovers to at least get the offense some more opportunities to score points on the board. So when you talk about the run defense, I think you have to more look at like teams like the 49ers. Like, you have to make sure their run defense is good because their offense isn't that good. So you have to side to make sure, okay, if you get the ball back, because our offense is a little lackluster. When you look at teams like, Rams, you like those type of teams where like the Eagles will take advantage of these kind of guys. I think the Eagles, for me, they're a team in the NFC which they run the ball, they run the score up. Teams have to pass the ball, which allows more turnovers, which allows more opportunities for the offense to get on the football field and just run the clock, score points. And that's what I'm looking at for the Eagles perspective, right? I think they are a team in the NFC where you can't, there's not much you can really do, because you have to have a complete offense. You have to play the best you could possibly play against this Eagles team, because if not, they're going to score 14-0, 21-0 and a half, and now you're going to be stuck like, damn, what do we do now?
And that's what the running game tries to diffuse. The big lead, right? Jalen Hurts can't score 21 on the bench, bro. He can't. If you win the coin toss, and let's say you're the Cowboys, you win the coin toss, right? Let's say the first drive. I'm going to just take the first drive as an example. Let's say the Cowboys. I know this is hypothetical. I love to play the hypothetical game all the time. They win the coin toss. They get the ball. Let's say they set their mark on the first drive. Let's say they get 3. Even if they get 3, they don't even get a touchdown, but they take up 5-6 minutes off the clock. The chances and probability of the Eagles scoring 30 plus in that game is limited just off of that one drive.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that the Eagles is a great running team themselves. So as when the Cowboys tried to push us back on the field, we didn't even throw it. We ran it right back down their throats. Took us so much time in the fourth quarter, they didn't have enough time to come back, and they couldn't run it then. They had to pass, and then they threw an interception. So I do think the Eagles can win more than just one way, because they can run that rock. They got a great running game. So clear, people can run on us a little bit. And I don't mean it's a horrible run defense, but it's definitely our weakness. But I will tell you, overall, we can win multiple ways with Dak. Maybe they can win multiple ways. I have yet to see it.
And I will look at their schedule real quickly before we depart off this topic. The Packers is a team that, I'm looking at their schedule, remaining schedule. You got the Commanders. That should be an easy W in the column. You got the Colts, Sam Ellinger quarterback. That should be an easy win in the column. The Packers, they can run the football. So that's a very interesting game. And they play good defense from time to time. They get turnovers on defense. So that's a game to look out for. The Titans, they should win that game, but the Titans could run the ball. The Titans, they can run the ball. And they got a game against Kansas City. They win that game, then they feeling pretty good about themselves. So who knows? The Giants, I don't think the Giants have the talent, but they are in the division. They know the Eagles well. That's a up in the air game. At the Bears, they should win that one. At the Cowboys is where I see the L's coming. Versus the Saints, they should win that game, but the Saints can run the ball with Alvin Kamara, and they play legit defense that can give Hurts some trouble. So that's a streaky game. And the Giants again. So I don't see them running the table, honestly.
No, I'm saying I don't want to run the table.
And exactly, we don't want them, or you don't want them to run the table because of the dangers of that. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after the break. Moving back on to the NBA. Keep it locked.